Asmadgurubhyo namaha, Asmadparamagurubhyo namaha, Asmadsarvagurubhyo namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane namaha. We'll start soon. I'm going to share my lecture, share my PowerPoint. Can you see my full screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. So this is the verse. Arjuna vacha, Sthitaprajñasya ka bhāṣā samādhisthasya keshava, Sthitadhihi kim prabhāṣeta kimāsīta prajeta kim. So this is the verse. This is the first verse of the section on Sthitaprajña, that is the end of the second chapter. So I will redo a little bit of Madhvācārya. I covered this in the last class. Just a few more, just as a revision, right? Sthitaprajña jnanam yasya sa sthitaprajñah. That means whose knowledge is steady. Bhashyate anena bhashyate anaya iti bhasha. Lakshanam ityartah. Sthitaprajñasya ka bhasha. That means what is the bhasha means? Lakshana. The word bhasha means lakshana. Uktam lakshanam anuvadati lakshanantaram pruchami iti. So the thing is, whatever was said here by Lord Kṛṣṇa, that is said lakshana as lakshana. But the thing is, the intent of Arjuna is asking to ask a different question. Lakshanantaram pruchami iti jñāpayati. 1 second. So this is about samadhistha. That is Sthitaprajñasya ka bhāṣā, samadhistasya keshava. That is the previous verse, right? It's not moving here. 1 second. Yeah, here it is. Sthitaprajñasya ka bhāṣā, samadhistasya keshava. So this question is regarding Samādhi, right? Let's take it that way. Why am I saying this? Is like how Madhvācārya positions this whole section. Kam brahmanamesham rudram cha vartayati iti keshavaha. So here the definition of Keshava is explained. Why Keshava comes up? Because Arjuna addresses Lord Kṛṣṇa as Keshava here. So the meaning of Keshava is the person who empowers Chaturmūkha Brahmā and Ishvara Rudra. So that is Keshava. Tatahi niruktihi krita Harivamsheshu. That similar ideas are there in the Harivamsha, where Hiranyagarbha prokta Ishak Shankara evacha Srishtadina vartayati tau idah Keshavo Bhavan. In the Kailasa Yatra section of Harivamsha, it is said that Lord Hari, Kṛṣṇa, is the power behind Hiranyagarbha, which is Chaturmūkha Brahmā and Ishvara, who is Shankara. And he makes them involve and do their functions in the activities of creation and dissolution. Kimasita kim pratyasita nacha arjuno najanati tal lakshanadikam jananti purva rajano devarshaya tataivahi tataphihi tathapi dharman prachanti vartaye guhyavittaye. So what it is, what Madhvācārya is saying here in the Bhashya is, what does it, kimasita, kim pratyasita, where does he stay and all those things. So Arjuna already knows the nature of Samadhi. But knowingly, Arjuna is asking a question because in the Puranas, it is said that knowledgeable people still ask some questions so that other great gurus can teach the public, everybody, right? So, on behalf of everyone in this world, very knowledgeable people also, as if they don't know, ask questions. Nate guhyah pratiyante puraneshu alpabuddhinam. So, because the ordinary people who are taught by the Puranas, they don't understand unless somebody asks a good question. So, the knowledgeable people intentionally ask questions as if they don't know, just to educate the universe, educate everybody in the universe. का भाषा कथं भाष्यते कैः गुणैः समाधिस्तस्य विषमं बुद्धिवर्जितस्य. So the thing is, here, let us go further, then the information here will become clear. So this is Gita Tatparya. Gita Tatparya also just says that what is the nature of that person who is in Samadhi. Vishama Buddhi Varjitasya means who does not have the wrong knowledge. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Arjuna's question is about this Sthitaprajña, and Lord Kṛṣṇa answers here. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan Ātman eva atmana tushtaha Sthitaprajña sadochyate. A simple meaning here is Prajahati means gives up. Yada kaman sarvan, when he gives up all the desires. Partha means Arjuna. O Arjuna, when a person gives up all his desires, which are in his mind, Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha, by Atman, in Atman, whoever is very happy, Sthitaprajña Stadochyate, that person is known as Sthitaprajña. This is the word by word meaning of this shloka. But the way Madhvācārya understands it is different. So, do people know now what is the word by word meaning here in this verse? Any doubts? No doubts? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. No.
Okay.
Everything fine.
Everything fine. Okay. Gita Bhashya here. Gamanadi pravrittir na ati abhisandhi purvika mattadi pravritti vaditi. 1 second. Ya nisha ityadina darshayishyane talakshanam pratamataha ahat prajahati iti. So the thing is, eventually, this verse is saying, this is Madhva-bhashya. In the verse later on in the Sthitaprajña portion, Jñānisha sarvabhutanam yasyam jagrati samyami, that verse basically talks about an intelligent Jnani is in a separate world and other people are ignorant of it, and that is all darkness for the other people. But what is darkness for the intelligent and Jnani does not care about this ordinary universe where everybody is awake, because he is more interested in a powerful, different spiritual universe, which he is aware of. So that is information will be explained later. So what he is saying is a great Jnani, he may act like an ordinary person, and some people may even mistake him to be a mad person. But actually he is not mad, because he is reveling in the spiritual bliss, which is a separate existence altogether, which is unknown to the ordinary people. So here, the question of Arjuna, Madhvācārya takes it as, why does he even talk, walk, or do anything, this Sthitaprajña? Because the Sthitaprajña is in Samadhi. He is in complete bliss, union with Paramātmā. Basically, he is focusing himself completely, his mind is completely focused on Hari. He is enjoying, he is in bliss. Why would he want to give up that bliss and come down and talk or walk or do anything in this world? This is the idea of Madhvācārya here. That's what Madhvācārya thinks this question is. Evam Paramananda Triptaha Kimartam Pravritim Karoti iti Prashnabhiprayah. So the Sthitaprajña ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava question, according to Madhvācārya, is not about learning the nature of samadhi, nature of person in samadhi or anything like that. It is only to find out why would he give up that bliss and even communicate with anybody else or walk or talk or whatever he does. Why is that? That is the question. Prārabdam karmashesha tirohita brahmano vasanaya prayo alphabhi sandhi pravrittaha sambhavanti ityāśayavan pariharati. So suppose even for the best of the Jñānīs, because of the prārabdha karma, some kind of bad karma, small karma, whatever, long time, which is still unburnt, that may rise, and this person may lose the bliss. He may withdraw. His mind may be unsteady for a microsecond or a small time, small duration. Then what happens? He will have to communicate with others, live like others, and act like others. So maybe that is why a Sthitaprajña even acts here, talks or whatever he does. Praya sarvan prajahati shukadinam api idrisha darshanat. Even though he gives up all the desires in the mind, maybe here and there small things may come up. Even for Shuka, Maharshi, little bit of deviation from being in total bliss may be there. Tvatpada bhakti michanti jñāninas tattvadarshinaha. So even though the Jnani may be completely realized and is an aproksha Jnani, directly he is realizing Hari. But Tvatpada bhakti michanti, even they have desires. What kind of desires? Pure desires. They want more bhakti in the lotus feet of the Lord, Hari. Ityukte stam ichanti. So Jñānis worship your feet, and that is also a desire in a way. So, prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. The word sarvan means all desires have to be gone. So what Madhvācārya decides is this sarvan may not exist for any Jnani also. That means even a Jnani may have micro desires here and there. He is not free of all desires, and that is okay. Yada tu indradīnām agraho drishyate tada abhibhutam tesham jnanam. So Indra is supposed to be a great Jnani, right? Because he is beyond all these human mortals, and he is beyond the Chakravarti, Manusha Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, and all these divine beings. So Indra is of a great stature, and he also is a Jnani. However, in the Puranas we see their minds deviate. That is, Indra's mind deviates from the focus on Lord Hari, but it comes down and he might have desires of different kind. That is known to us. Tacca uttam adhikarika pumsamto brihat karmatva karanat. So even for an adhikarika purusha, adhikarika is they have some adhikara, they have some eligibility. They are special people. They're special individuals. Like Indra, though they may have some purva karmas, very powerful karmas, which can make them fall down from their pure state of jnana and have ignorance or even base desires like hatred, anger, attachment, and any one of them. Udbhava abhibhavo jnane tato anyebhyo vilakshanaha. But don't ever think that Indra is just like one of us. We also have anger, hatred, ignorance, and all. So he's like us. Don't put Indra down. He's a very unique person, totally different from ordinary people. Atayeva vailakshanyat adhikarinam agrahadi chetasti nate jnaninaha ityavagantavyam. Vailakshanya, Valakshanyat anadhikarinam agrahati. That's how we should read it. So, for those who are not adhikaris, that means they don't have the real qualification, jnana. When they turn into desires and anger, like ordinary people, they are ordinary people only. They are not jñānis. But it's very true that even though some people may be jñānis, like the Chaturmūkha Brahmā, they do some wrong things like giving boons to unworthy rakshasas, overpowered by attachment to them, or why don't we grant? He's such a nice guy. We should grant him boons, whatever he asked for. And later on, Chaturmukha Brahma was found to have got into trouble. He got into trouble. So sometimes these jñānis, they can have desires, like Hara, who fought with Hari, Shiva, who fought with Hari on certain occasions. So they are like ignorant. Nachatra samadhim kurvato lakshanam uchyate. So summary is, here in this section, Madhvācārya argues, without going to the Sanskrit here, I will try to give you a summary, because this is one of the problems. Today I spent a lot of time understanding what exactly is Madhvācārya saying. So his bhashya sometimes is understandable only for a highly qualified Sanskrit scholar, grammarian, and who knows a lot of other subjects, right? So I wanted to give you a simple summary so that you just get the gist. That is enough, actually. Summary is, Arjuna is using a word samadhistasya. Here, Arjuna is not really asking for the nature of his person in samadhi, and that too a person in asamprajñita samadhi, which is a highest level of samadhi. So even in asamprajñita samadhi, a person he is unaware of any good or bad experiences. Because asamprajñita samadhi is a complete focus on Hari only, according to Madhvācārya. So this particular first shloka is talking about a state, not about the highest state according to Madhvācārya. Even though it says prajahate yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan, all the desires are won over by this person and he is focusing 100% on Sri Hari. That may be said in the shloka, but that is not the intent of the shloka according to Madhvācārya. He says, I was thinking Madhvācārya is going against Ramanuja.org in certain places here. But it's not exactly true. It's a very subtle issue here. That's why I want to explain clearly. So there is a lower state called samprajñata samadhi. In the lower state, what happens, a person can actually feel the good or bad around him or her, right? Whoever is in samadhi, a lady or a man or any being. So the person can feel the good or bad. Bad things or good things. But that person will ignore it and focus on Hari. That is slightly lower level. But the asamprajñata samadhi person does not even feel the good or bad around that person. The person doesn't even hear the sounds, even if there is a big drum making sound. The person will not hear. People say even if somebody pushes them, they won't even feel. They will be completely in bliss. There could be, some people who know yogis have really seen such yogis. So it is not hearsay. Such yogis can exist even today. So here, in this context, in the asamprajñata samadhi state, a person does not feel good or bad, anything like that. So Madhvācārya is arguing the first verse, prajahate yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan, is about a generic jnani. It is not about the highest level jnani. there is no discrimination here. It could be of a generic jnani. He argues towards that using some other logic. A person, that's what I'm summarizing here. A person in asampragnata samadhi does not have any experience of good or bad things. Hence, he is not explained in the shloka. Even though that issue applies to a sampragnata samadhi person, here in the shloka, samadhistasya keshava, that is in the first verse, this can apply to imperfect jnanis too, since in Smriti it is said that even for an imperfect jnani, because of the blessings of Sri Hari, that person can be completely desireless, even though he is of the lower level. So there is no rule that a person in samadhi should be completely beyond all desires. Why? Because kamadayo na jayante hyapi vikshipta chetasam jnaninam jnana nirdhuta malanam deva samshrayat iti smritehe. Madhvācārya quotes a Purana or some kind of a Smriti, which could be also some Agama. Okay, he doesn't say which Agama he is quoting here. He says those Jñānis who may not be in Samadhi and maybe with an unsteady mind, that is, they cannot focus perfectly properly. But due to the grace of the Lord, none of the desires will affect them because the Lord Hari is protecting them. So the desires will not make their minds, disturb their minds. Because their jnana would have won over all the papa karmas. The jnana would have eliminated their prior papa karmas and the effects. So this is what, so even though it appears that the first verse, Prajahati Yada Kaman, is referring to the highest level of jnani, it is not so really. Because even lower level jnanis, with the grace of Lord, can have perfect focus on Hari. This shloka talks about a generic jnani. So, according to Madhvācārya, Prajahati Yada Kaman is not about any highest level jnani, it's about general jnani, according to Madhvācārya. Does anybody remember what Ramanuja.org says here about the Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parthamanogatan? Anybody? Maybe I'll stop share here, just to be a little bit more interactive. I don't want people to sleep off. Anyone? Nobody? I guess you hear me, right? I am audible?
Yes. Audible, yeah.
Okay. So in Prajahati Yada Kaman first verse, Ramanuja.org says that is about the highest level jnani. So the next 4 verses, okay, next 4 verses of Gita is very important. Let me read the next verses of the Gita. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamano Ātman Jīvātmā Stḥitaprajña stadochyate. That is the first verse. The next verse is Dukkeshu nudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspruhaha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthitatirmunirchyate. That is the second verse. Yas sarvatra nabhisnehaha tatat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajña pratishtita. That is the third verse. The fourth verse is Yada samharate jayam kurbungani vasarvashaha Indriyan Indriyarthebhyas tasya prajña pratishtita. These are the 4 verses where Ramanuja.org says these 4 verses are actually 4 levels of Sthitaprajña. The highest level Sthitaprajña is Prajahati Yada Kaman. The second level, the third level, and the fourth level. In fact, Vedanta Deshika, the commentator on the Ramanuja Bhashya here in Tatparya Chandrika, explains that these 4 levels refers to 4 levels indicated in the Yoga Sutras. Vashikara Samjna, Vyatireka Samjna, and he mentioned the 4 different levels of yogic levels, which are also mentioned in the Yoga Sutras. So clearly, according to Ramanuja.org, there are 4 different levels of Samadhistha, who is Sthitaprajña. But Madhvācārya disagrees with it. He says, this is about a generic Jnani. It cannot be hierarchical. Even though Madhvācārya also accepts that there are Jñānis of different kinds. There is hierarchy. But because of the grace of the Lord, all of them will be eventually situated in one level, that is as a generic Jnani. So everybody will get moksha in a way. So that is what Madhvācārya is trying to hint at. So I don't see this is a major point of disagreement between Ramanuja.org and Madhvācārya here. Let us go a little bit further, we will know if there is a big difference. The only difference what I can say is, Madhvācārya says here, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanovadan Ātmanyeva Ātmana tushtaha. The word Ātmanyeva Ātmana both refers to Paramātmā, Hari, for Madhvācārya. That is not the case with Ramanuja.org. That's what we are going to discuss. Oh, I have to share now. So, manogatahi kamaha. So, the desires are actually situated in the mind, right? Ataha tatraiva tadviruddha jnanotpatto yuktam bhanam teshamiti darsheti manogataniti. Because right in the mind, there should be some superior knowledge, some spiritual attachment to Lord Hari, which also occurs in the same mind. That's when the desires are attacked by the bhakti to Hari. Then the desires are won over and bhakti to Hari stays powerful. So there is a virodha. Rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Here it is very clear, right? Rasa is desires, I think, in the mind. So when in the mind, if somebody realizes God, once the person realizes Paramātmā in mind, the desires will go away. That's mentioned further in the same Sthitaprajña verse, Sthitaprajña section. So that's where all these desires are basically in the mind. That's what Madhvācārya is reminding us. Nacha etat drishtya apalepaniyam purusha vaishishyeत atmana paramatmana paramatmanyeva sthitah sanne atma ke tasmin sthetasya prasadadeva trushtir bhavati. See here, important point Madhvācārya brings in is Ātmanyeva Ātmana tushtaha. The word Atma should also Paramātmā. Ātmani also is Paramātmā. So a person who is focused on the Lord, Paramātmanyeva, Ātmanyeva. Ātmana tushtaha means who gives the happiness. That Paramātmā is the only giver of happiness. Atma khe tasmin sitasya pratat prasadadeva tushtir bhavati. So Paramātmā is the only person who can give you tushti or happiness. Vishayastu parityajya rame stitim atastataha devat bhavati vai tushtihi nanyatatu kadachana iti uktam hi Narayana Ashtakshara kalpe. Madhvācārya is referring to a work called Narayana Ashtakshara kalpa, which is sort of unavailable now. In his times, he knew this particular work. Other people did not know this work. They have not talked about this work. So this Agama work, I think.
I have one question, Kṛṣṇa.
Okay.
You said that it is the mind that understands Atma or Brahman. What word? You said something, no?
Yeah.
But will you please repeat what your sentence? What did you say?
Here, in this particular slide or earlier slide?
No, you said that it is the mind that realizes. You said, I want that complete.
See, here, according to Madhvācārya, Ātma, Paramātmā, there is no mind here. What do you call in the mind? For Ramanuja Bhashya, see, why don't I come to the next slide? I will explain to you Ramanuja Bhashya, then you will know about the mind here. I will exactly tell
No, 1 minute. You now just know, maybe a minute, a second back, said that it is the mind that realizes Brahman or Atma, something you said, no? That your sentence I want to understand again.
See, what I say is, according to Ramanujācārya, Ātmanyeva Ātmana Tushtaha means that Ātmana, he takes it as Manasa. Through mind, Ātmani Tushtaha, through mind which is focused on the Atma, and he gets happiness there. That is the meaning Ramanujācārya gives. That's what I was referring to. Okay. So, for Madhvācārya though, Ātmanyeva Ātmana Tushta means only focusing on Hari and getting the bliss only through Hari. Hari is the only giver of bliss. That's what Madhvācārya says. And Madhvācārya quotes from the Narayana Ashtakshara Kalpa, which says, Vishayanstu Paristhyaja, giving up all the desires, Rame Sthitimatastataha. If you focus on Rama, Devat Bhavati Vai Tushtihi, through the bliss of that Devata, Rama, Bhavati Tushtihi, bliss is attained. Nanyatha tu kadachana, the bliss can never come from any other place. Nobody else can give you bliss. Ityuktam hi Narayana Ashtakshara Kalpe. So this work clearly says that God is the giver. Paramātmā is the giver of happiness. And only by focusing on Paramātmā, giving up all the desires, one can get the blessings from Paramātmā and attain bliss. Ato natma jivaha. Here Ātmanyeva Ātmana Tushtaha, Ātmanyeva Ātmana Tushtaha, the word Atma should not be understood as Jīvātmā, according to Madhvācārya in 2.55. Is this clear? Do you understand what Madhvācārya is talking about here?
Here he agrees with how Advaita also sees it, is it?
What did you say?
Even in Advaita, they see this Atma here as Paramātmā only, no?
Yeah. I will come to Shankara Bhashya here later, okay? Because here the most important comparison, most important arguments are between Ramanuja Bhashya and Madhva Bhashya here. The Shankara Bhashya is separate. Don't worry about Shankara Bhashya now. I'll come to Shankara Bhashya. I'll also show you Shankara Bhashya right on the screen and explain to you word by word what it means.
Swami, according to
Atma is only one Atma, right? For Shankara Bhashya, whether it's Jīvātmā, Paramātmā, it's all only one for that, for Shankara Bhashya. So don't worry about it now.
So for Ramanujācārya, this is the highest step of the Sthitaprajña, right? 2.55.
Yes. Sthitaprajña is the focus on the Jīvātmā for Ramanujācārya. It is not the focus on Paramātmā.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That I'll come to that because I will directly show you the slide in which Ramanuja Bhashya directly is given, and I will explain that to you. No issue. But Madhvācārya clearly says here only when a person focuses on Hari will get happiness because of the blessings of Hari, because of the grace of Hari. That's all. Okay. Now, Ramanuja Bhashya on the same verse. Compare. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmanyevatmana tushtaha Sthitaprajñastadochyate. This is focus on this verse. Ramanuja Bhashya says, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Lord said, Lord Hari Krishna said, Atmanyeva Atmana Manasa Atmaika Avalambanena Tushtaha. That means through mind, which is not focusing on external objects, but only focusing on Jīvātmā, Atmanyeva Manasa Atmaika Avalambanena. That means the manas is not going hither thither. it will just focus on only Atma. Tushtaha, he gets happiness. Tena, toshena, tad vyatiriktan sarvan manogatan kaman yada prakarshena jahati. Tena toshena, because he gets that immense joy from focusing on Atma or Jīvātmā, tad vyatiriktan sarvan manogatan, whatever other desires come up in the mind, this person gives up. Because if somebody gives you $10 million and somebody else gives you 5 rupees, what will you do? You give up the 5 rupees, you throw the 5 rupees and pick up the $10 million, right? So, because of the immense happiness of focusing on Atma, this person gives up all other desires. Prakarshena jahati, gives up powerfully. Tada I am Stḥitaprajña itiuchyate. Then this person is told to be Stḥitaprajña, of a steady mind. This is Jnananishta Kashtayam. This is the stage of Jnananishta, which is very powerful and high. Anantaram Jnananishtasya tataha arvachina adura viprakrishta avastha uchyate. Later on in the next shloka, slightly lower level Jnani is explained. Here the highest level Jnani, who is a Sthitaprajña, is explained here according to Ramanuja.org. Right? So, what does Ramanuja.org say? First of all, he says is only focus on Jīvātmā here.
Swami, is that specifically clarified here that Atma is referring to Jīvātmā in this slide?
Yeah. The thing is, here Atma, he only mentions a Jīvātmā. Even you go further and further, it's become clearer and clearer in Ramanuja.org. If you read the entire Ramanuja.org, the prior verse and the later verses and all, it's very clear that Atma is Jīvātmā here for Ramanuja.org.
Okay, sir.
Then the question comes, in the prior shloka, before the question raised by Arjuna as Sthitaprajña Seka Bhasha, what was the shloka? Shruti Pratipannate Yada Sthasyati Nishchada Samadho Vachala Buddhihi Tada Yogam Avapshasi. So there was a prior verse. Even there, Ramanuja.org says the focus is on Jīvātmā. Tada Yogam Avapshasi means he says you will first get the sight of Jīvātmā, and then later on only you will get in the whole of second chapter, Ramanuja.org does not think that one can get to the sight of Paramātmā. One does not get the realization on Paramātmā because the person cannot focus on Paramātmā. So now, when does Ramanuja.org even accept that Paramātmā can be focused? Somewhere in the 6th chapter, not before that. One can ask, why is this? So Ramanuja.org's stern, powerful message is that when a person initially is so involved in the desires, anger, hatred, jealousy, and all these external activities which are baser in quality, that person does not get to immediately get a double promotion to directly see Paramātmā. First inclination, first idea he gets is, who am I? So the initial, how much ever a mind is kept in total control without any desires, initial vision is only on the Jīvātmā. Because Paramātmā is hiding inside Jīvātmā. Paramātmā is not visible to him. So initially the first visibility is only towards Jīvātmā, is what Ramanuja.org is insisting. So Ramanuja.org picks up the idea of Paramātmā Kṛṣṇa only after 7 chapters. Somewhere around 7 chapters or the last verse of the 6th chapter. That is his argument. But what Madhvācārya is saying is, I am giving you a summary argument of the entire Bhagavad-Gītā, because 2nd chapter is the summary of the entire Bhagavad-Gītā. So Madhvācārya's focus is different. Madhvācārya doesn't believe in a very stage-by-stage realization in the 2nd chapter. The 2nd chapter, according to Madhvācārya, is the total summary of entire Bhagavad-Gītā. So he says, okay, bhakti might have been explained more powerfully in the 12th chapter Bhakti Yoga. Fine. I am talking about the entire Bhagavad-Gītā summarized in the 2nd chapter. So here I would say Ātma and Ātmana both refer to only Paramātmā, because he is the only giver of happiness. Ramanuja.org does not disagree here completely, because even here Ramanuja.org knows that the only person who gives happiness has to be Krishna. That is very clear. But Ramanuja.org says a person can get bliss even by first realizing Jīvātmā, which is one's own self. Because self-realization is at a very high level compared to realizing just material pursuits here. So in that sense, he will get immense bliss by just focusing on Jīvātmā. That's possible. So that is, there are two different views here, that's all. Next is Sarvakama nivrittistu janato na kathanchana anishiddha kamitaivato hyakam mitvam iryate. So the thing is, Madhvācārya here says, Jīvātmā, he is another, another bhashya on Gita, right? In that he says, I will summarize this here. To give you a summary of the Jīvātmā here, even Jñānīs do not have complete victory over desires. Kama is desire for what is forbidden by the Shastras. Nishiddha. Nishiddha is forbidden. So even for aparoksha jñānīs who directly can realize Hari, sometimes when they do not have that aparoksha jnana, they temporarily lose the vision of Hari. The desire for forbidden things manifest. Even such great jñānīs can have desires. Hara or Ishvara or Parvatipati Shiva, for example, fought with Hari. In some Puranas, it is said that he started fighting with Hari. Okay. So why? He temporarily lost jnana. He is an aparoksha jnani, but he temporarily lost that due to some, who knows why. When one has aparoksha jnana, he is known as Sthitaprajña. So Stḥitaprajña is at the highest level pretty much. Because one, if he has that aparoksha jnana or the complete involvement, complete absorption of in Hari only, then that is the state of Sthitaprajña. When he does not have that aparoksha jnana, according to Madhvācārya, suppose he still has focus on the internal Bimbarupa. That means if it is of the right kind, means he may not have the direct vision of the Lord at the time. But if he focuses on his Bimbarupa, Bimbarupa is Hari inside Jiva. Or there is a Bimba Pratibimba, like, a Jīvātmā is like a reflection of that Bimbarupa Hari. So the thing is, the inner Hari, when the Jīvātmā can even focus on that inner Hari, he will eventually get moksha. If not, eventually bhakti will be generated. Even if he cannot focus, the bhakti can be generated by the grace of the Lord, and eventually one gets moksha. The bottom line here, according to Madhvācārya in the Prajahati Yada Kaman verses, Ātmani is in Vishnu. Ātmana means by Vishnu. It's not mind, he is not talking about the mind here. So only by the grace of Vishnu one attains happiness. This is the summary Madhvācārya gives here. So it looks like they are different, but only thing is, even though Ramanuja.org, Madhvācārya has similar views on the whole of Bhagavad-Gītā, the way they understand the 2nd chapter is different. In 2nd chapter, Madhvācārya says it's only about Vishnu, and Ramanuja.org says Vishnu is too far here. It's too early to get Vishnu. He has to first understand Jīvātmā Sakshatkara. I think Madhvācārya does not focus on Jīvātmā Sakshatkara as a different level at all. I don't know what he thinks of Kaivalya and those issues, and I don't even know what Madhvācārya thinks about the Sankhya, that is Yoga Sutra's state of Kaivalya, what the Yoga Sutra says. That probably will become clearer later. Honestly, I was initially thinking why are we doing this line by line analysis of Madhva-bhashya, Shankara-bhashya, Ramanuja-bhashya? So it's very complex. Initially, I thought. But when today I was studying, I realized there are so many critical things which gives us deep knowledge. It's very important. I felt that it is worth to study a line by line Madhva-bhashya very clearly. Even here, why is this approach? I was thinking about why Madhvācārya thinks differently when other acharyas slightly think differently. It's because Madhvācārya very clearly says, look, other people like Shankaracharya particularly may think Arjuna is of the low level category. He is not a, what is it called, Arjuna? Arjuna says, he is not eligible for jnana. He is not jnani according to Shankaracharya. But Madhvācārya takes him to be, he is a jnani only. So this approach, that will change the entire Gita Bhashya. Why? Because Prajahati Eda Kaman, Sarvan Parthamanavatan and all these, according to Ramanuja.org, are stages of sadhana. Sadhana is slowly, a person is giving up the desires for the external world and slowly focusing on inside. Initially, the inside will be only Jīvātmā. When he goes deep and into meditation on Jīvātmā, gets Atma Sakshatkara or Jīvātmā Sakshatkara, eventually he finds out who is this Jīvātmā, who is powering this Jīvātmā. Is Jīvātmā independent? If he is the powerful person, why would Jīvātmā get into any trouble? Why would Jīvātmā get attracted by external desires? So somebody else is powering that Jīvātmā. So even then he will go after the internal Paramātmā. Then slowly he will get the vision of Hari. So that is Ramanuja-bhashya. Madhvācārya just summarize and say, there's no point even focusing on Jīvātmā, it's useless. Let us focus only on Hari. And this whole thing is about Hari only. So he does not do the step-by-step approach. He will directly come to the final. Hari is the only helper and the final resort. Quickly, Madhvācārya focuses on it. Ramanuja.org believes this is a conversational Shastra, Vada Shastra, Samvada Shastra. Samvada is conversation. So the topics are developed slowly, stage by stage. Hope I make this clear. Do you have any doubts?
Swami, if I'm not wrong, in one of the earlier lectures, you had mentioned that even for this Jīvātmā Sakshatkara, for according to Ramanuja.org, he needs the grace of Lord, right?
True. Absolutely. So Ramanuja.org at the time says, even for Jīvātmā Sakshatkara, you have to focus your mind on me. Yukta asita mat paraha is the second chapter verse. He will come eventually within the next slok. Yukta asita mat paraha is in the Tani Sarvani Samyam Yukta asita mat paraha is 61, 2.61. We are in 2.55. So eventually, the subject goes like that. That is, the Indriyas are very powerful, mind is very powerful, and the objects are very powerful. The mind is always directed outside, and that is why they cannot see the inner Ātman or Paramātmā. So, but how do you force your mind from external objects? How do you take your mind away from the external objects and focus on the internal Ātman? Only by focusing on Krishna. Yukta asita mat paraha, just focus on Krishna. Then he will help you attain Jīvātmā Sakshatkara first. That is Ramanuja.org's view here. Do you understand?
Yeah, so the means is pretty much the same for both Madhvācārya and
The means is same. The means is same, but the thing Madhvācārya ignores or gives low priority to any Jīvātmā Sakshatkara. He says that's useless. I don't want to even think of it. We have to see Madhva-bhashya as it develops further in the chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. But my take of it is Madhvācārya only says Atma means Paramātmā only, Hari only. And he will continue that train of thought continuously in till the end of the Bhagavad-Gītā almost. That's my take. And where there may be a small difference is what happens in the 13th chapter, where Ramanuja.org says 13th chapter is devoted to only Jīvātmā. Most of the 13th chapter is about Kshetrajña, that is the knower of the field and the field. Kshetra is the body and the external matter. Kshetrajña is Jīvātmā mainly. Paramātmā is also a Kshetrajña in every body because he is the inner controller, Antaryami. But the rest of the chapter of 13th is mainly focusing on Jīvātmā for Ramanuja.org. But what does Madhvācārya think about it? We will figure that out later because I don't have time to completely understand. I don't seem to know everything in Bhagavad-Gītā. How each Acharya sees every verse. I need to focus slowly, study it, and then only talk about it. Believe it or not, I couldn't understand a lot about today's lecture. That is why I focused for 3-4 hours to really clearly understand where is this Madhvācārya coming from. Hope I have made this clear. So what we will do is today we will have a smaller class because that is today is Amavasya in the morning. I was not very well prepared and I had other personal issues, friends, other people coming at home. So I couldn't really focus too much. Anyway, I have to now prepare for tomorrow's early morning class, which is on the Kenopaniṣad. We will come to a very important part in the Kenopaniṣad. That is the idea of what is the essence of Kenopaniṣad? What is Adhyatma, Adidaiva, and all these portions are explained in the fourth section of Kenopaniṣad. So we'll talk about Kenopaniṣad early in the morning at 6:30 a.m. So if you don't have any questions, I'll stop here. If you have questions, we can discuss.
Reading everything very deeply, all the Ācāryas verses very deeply, commentary on the verses very deeply, actually brings their viewpoints very close to each other. Only when we read it from when we summarize their views, it seems like they're not agreeing with each other.
Yeah, they're not very against each other. They're like brothers in the same family. See, this is what becomes clearer and clearer when you look at it deeply. And I have to definitely thank Sri K.S.V. Swami, who guided us to look at all three views.
Thank you.
Very good. Namaskaram. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Kṛṣṇa Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam Shri Kṛṣṇa Namaha.